record on this computer.
Okay, smash that record button, folks.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that record button.
Smash those mute and unfollow buttons.
Smash the mute and unfollow. And feel free to worship the Pitcast on onlyfans.com.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. It's so good to be back. It's so good to be at the beginning of the podcast this time instead of shitting out like I did last week. We've got Moss on the line. Hello, my friend.
Yo.
And very pleased to be joined by the great Tyler Edders, broadcasting from Dante's Inferno, at least not the seventh layer. And Mr. Lorian Elliman.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's always good. You too, Lorian. Love you.
Always a pleasure.
The illustrious Meatball himself, hosting us, our fearless leader, as always.
Lorian has selected Gothenburg as his background.
Yeah, for those of you wanting the exclusive content, make sure to grab the video version of this podcast.
This is beautiful Marin. This is where Marissa and I spent a few days last summer.
Oh, dig it. Is
in
that
Switzerland?
Okay?
I was going to say that does look like my home country. If you guys didn't know, I was actually born in Switzerland, making me really sophisticated.
And then they kicked you out.
They did. They said I was too opinionated.
How long did you live there? When did you move back to the U.S. or move to the U.S.?
So the reason why we wound up there in the first place is because my dad worked for evil Monsanto Corporation. And we lived there from when I was about 1 to 3 or 4. And then we moved to Paris and then lived in Paris for 2 years, went back to Switzerland for a year, then to the suburbs of Chicago. And that's where I grew up. And then moved downtown when I was 18, and the rest is history.
Fail.
So I've lived right. I've lived a rich and varied life.
What a globetrotter.
It has
Places.
Rags to rags.
It has been a dream of mine to go back to Switzerland. I was born in Zug, which is in the German part. I don't know. Is Marin in the Italian part or the German part?
German part, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took a train up from Italy, but it's like central Switzerland. I think it's German.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about it. It's bordered by those three countries, France, Italy, and Germany, and I don't know, it's kind of culturally affected by each, even though the Swiss are pretty insular. You know, given how fucking crazy things are in America, I did a cursory amount of research in regards to, how could I get like dual citizenship? You know, it's a real roundabout process. I need like people in my hometown to vouch for me.
Yeah, good luck.
It's like, remember me from 25 years ago?
Yeah, it's kind of the same process if you wanted to like, request something from the king's court. You need to like travel from county to county on horseback, and yeah. So
yeah.
We'll have to wait on that one.
Well, this is a very special evening, and not only because I don't remember the last time we recorded back-to-back weeks. That's like Halley's Comet for us. But more importantly, today marks the 25th anniversary of the release of Hackers, the movie.
Wow.
Greatest and most important film of the 20th century.
Oh, hugely important for our club, especially. But
and unironically, one of my top 5 to 10 favorite movies of all time.
Wait. Okay, so it's actually in the top 5?
It's in the real top 5. Yeah.
Wow.
Like if I were making my desert island list, it would be on probably number 5.
So I've had this hypothesis that it's a major red flag. Like of a person, it's a major red flag if they have There Will Be Blood in their top 5. Do you have There Will Be Blood in your top 5?
No, because I'm not a sociopath.
Okay. Usually when I hear that, like alarm bells go off in the back of my subconsciousness, and I get pulled into this kind of withdraw thing,
Yeah.
Right. Or like all the top 5 are just like Coen Brothers films. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, wait,
Right.
actually.
That's when it goes warning, warning, warning.
Yeah,
An entire bookshelf is Ayn Rand novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nobody around here reads. I'm going to dip out for a quick call. You guys can carry the torch here.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, you're just literally describing Nathan Mung. But anyway, you were about to elucidate us on
anniversary of Hackers. Yeah, and I watched the 20th anniversary edition of Hackers just now on the 25th anniversary of Hackers, which this Blu-ray is very special to me because I won it back in the before times. The Lords had a fantastic event where we rented out a movie theater and reveled and watched Hackers together. I can't even remember. That was 10 years ago or 30 years ago or however many years ago that was, but the nostalgia just welled up inside me as I watched and relived glory days back when we could go places together and scream publicly at people.
Right. There are movies. I'm going to use like The Matrix as an example. The Matrix was absolutely my favorite movie growing up. And I think as I watch it again, sporadically, it becomes more and more relevant as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It was already kind of a commentary on the time and how things were changing. And then you go back and look at it and you're like, oh my God, yes, it's all a fucking simulation. It's like even more true than it was before. Like they totally hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I remember watching that. My mother took me to see it, and she was a huge sci-fi fan. We always watched X-Files together, and she always, read me sci-fi books and stuff. So that came out in '99, so I was 11 or something, and I remember watching it with her, and I completely missed the whole simulation thing. I remember coming out of it and not getting it because I remember years later I actually got that part of the film, which it's not that complicated, but when you're 11 years old, there's just things that you just kind of can't grasp. So what's especially freaky about that is just before we watched the movie, I remember going into the movie theaters, my mom complaining about my name, Tyler, because it's never used in any books, any movies. The hero is never named Tyler. We sit down to watch The Matrix, and what preview comes on but Fight Club?
Fight Club, right.
And Tyler Durden is like the name that's just plastered there. And then it's like especially haunting, reflecting about the simulation thing that I was lamenting about my name, and then walked into that. It's like, hey, guess what, buddy? It's all a hologram.
That's magic. That's pure magic. Though, speaking of revisiting Logan Theater, Moss, you actually got back there kind of recently to see Tenet, right?
Yeah, Nathan and I went on Saturday at noon.
Is it as good as I'm led to believe by the hype?
It's overhyped, but that's because theater industry was kind of hoping it would jumpstart the people returning to the theater, and I don't think that's going to happen, and B, it was a cool movie. I enjoyed it. It was actually pretty awesome, but it's just like a big budget thriller, sci-fi thriller. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I don't really have a way to. I don't really have a specific thought. I mean, it was like cool, but it's like, why would anybody think that like this was going to save the movie industry? I don't know. Like you could just as easily wait for the video on demand.
I see what you mean. So would you say that the whole experience of going to the theater in the first place would you say it was worth it, or it was what you were really going for anyway, just the kind of shred of normalcy?
Well, so the reason I decided to see that specifically, what I've just been itching to get out number one. Number two, I figured if I go early on a Saturday, and like I researched the protocol at Logan Theater, and they had good procedure in place and et cetera. So I'm like, well, if I go on a Saturday morning, it's probably going to be pretty chill. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Ian, one of our Lord's buddies, had seen it, and he said the sound was really good. I'm like, okay, well, that's, I've been wanting to get out of the house, go to the theater, and I'm sure it'll sound badass, on the big sound system. And it did. But, I wouldn't like go to a Friday night theater, or I wouldn't want to go if it were like, I mean, this was like what, 10% capacity? You know what I mean? Like if it were 25, would I feel the same about it, or 40%? I'd probably be uncomfortable. I wore a mask the whole time, which wasn't that big of a deal because I have a comfortably fitting mask. But that's something you got to get used to as well. But I mean, it was a badass movie. I'd recommend it, but it's like if you choose to wait to see it, on streaming, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody else has, or out there, I guess, among our dozen of listeners, if you have a job where you have to wear a mask indoors for long periods of time, that's how it is at school. I essentially wear one for probably 7 hours and in one go, pretty much every day. So
yeah,
that wouldn't be unreasonable for me.
Yeah,
So,
for like long-term mask wearage, we're getting big. We're like waxing Technica here on masks now. But I like the over the head, something that like fits over the head and comes around this way, so it's not just like pulling on my ears for hours on end.
Right.
I
like,
know the little things make a big difference.
Yeah, or like if you tie it behind your head, it's just constantly slipping down behind my massive brain, and then the little thing it slips and I got to retie it or whatever.
Cerebellum.
Yeah. So I've got one that kind of fits over my head, over my cabeza, and then I put a hat on over that, and it's easy.
That said, now's a great time for an ad break, and to let you all know that the Pitcast is endorsed by Nutty McFlush Co. So please go to Jaco's Goofy website and get all of your mask needs from him.
Now, for a split second, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't remember Jake reaching out to do a spot here.
Oh, wait,
because he's paying us, not you.
He didn't pay you.
My bad. But I'm paying him and he's paying you because I'm the one that bought a bunch of masks from him.
Lauren, were you going to say something?
No, basically the same thing. The over the head, the Nutty McFlush style, is great for long use, but the you can't beat the convenience of the behind the ear masks. Just to like pop into to get your takeout.
Yeah.
Pop back out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I use one of those for like, if I'm just running the convenience store or something.
And just peel the fucker off as soon as you're out there, like, ah!
Yeah. All right, so we covered the hackers stuff. Sorry, I had to dip out just for a quick moment there.
We did. Yes, we did.
Awesome.
So we've got more MTG based news on the docket. Don't worry, we do talk about Magic sometimes on this podcast. A big reason why we've got Lorian on the cast tonight is because, well, the guy's just an absolute middle school ringer. And so, Lorian, you played in the Romancing the Stones, which is a Texas-based vintage group. Their middle school event, which was streamed on Twitch and everything. There might even be VODs if you go to like twitch.tv/Romancing the Stones.
Yeah, there are VODs up.
Yeah, which is sweet. So if you're wondering about like what the gameplay looks like of middle school, or like what some of the deck archetypes look like in action, you can always dial that up. And then I also see written here that there was a Quebec event. Did you play that in person?
Yeah, that was in spring of 2019, and I think I might have tried to talk about it on our lost episode.
Yeah.
But the guys up there were so
content.
cool. I felt bad for never having like mentioned the event. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was lost in the sands of time.
100%. So set the stage. What brought you up to Canada in the first place?
Marissa and I were just taking a spring break trip, and for whatever reason, we decided Quebec. It's someplace that I wanted to visit. So we were going to spend like a few days in Montreal and then a few days in Quebec City. She speaks French, so it's relatively easy. I mean, they speak English up there for the most part too, but it gave her a chance to practice her French. And so we planned this trip, not even thinking about any kind of tournament at all. But on the Lords of the Pit, actually, they had a calendar of events, and the Tundra Wolves was one of them. Marissa pointed that out to me, and I was like, all right, well, I don't know if I want to do it. Like,
What a girl.
Yeah.
When does that happen? Ever? But usually people say like, "Oh, I burned, X amount of wife credit to be able to go to like this or that tournament."
Yuck.
Gross.
So, but I was talking to her about it today in preparation for this podcast, and she really wanted to go to these Quebec sugar shacks, which are like these little cabins out in the middle of nowhere where you like eat multi-course like provincial meal of like pea soup and ham with maple syrup on it, and
Oh, hell yeah.
there's like little goats and things, and we weren't going to rent a car, but the Tundra Wolves were going to do their event one day and then a mass trip out to the sugar shacks. So she was like, oh, well, if we do this event, we can get like a ride basically out to the sugar shack. So she had her plan.
There was some EV in it for her too.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really Marissa that's just squeezing the most amount of value she possibly can. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
just incredible.
Absolutely.
What was the format that they?
Oh, it was
put out
old
there?
school. It was old
Okay.
school. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Tundra Wolves are all about old school.
Gotcha.
And she wanted to play too. I was like, I don't want to spend, a whole day of our vacation doing, being a sweat hog while you're like stuck being alone. But I made her a pink aggro deck, and we were all set to go. I ate something that didn't agree with me. So I popped
Like
some
an edible?
Imodium. Yeah.
Well, they
I
say
think it
you're
was-
not supposed to drink the water out of country.
Those smoked meat. You guys know what smoked meats are? That's a Quebec specialty. They don't tell you what kind of meat. It's just smoked meat. So I had a big smoked meat sandwich, and I think it disagreed with me.
Raccoon or what? Beaver?
It was more of like the meat toward the back end of the
Yeah,
beast.
right.
You didn't get the front end. You got more of the back.
Behind
Closer
us.
to the butthole.
Yeah. So I was I did that actually wasn't what did me in. It was the like taking some anti-pooping pills, and you're not supposed to combine liquor with that, which I didn't realize. 'Cause
Well,
it's
I would have
like-
made the same mistake. I can promise you that.
I don't like
it
where this is
basically
going.
gives you it just gives you alcohol poisoning, or it makes you feel very, very ill because like you
Ugh.
can't just like I think the alcohol is just like sitting in your gut, like not being passed through.
Ugh.
So the day
Talk
of
about
the
a blue
event,
stew.
yeah,
Mud.
mono brown stew.
Yeah, talk about mono brown. Okay, so you were does that mean you were unable to play? Was this like the
Yeah.
day of the tournament?
This is the night before this happened, the morning of, I like woke up, took a shower. It was one of those showers where like by the time you get out of the shower, you're exhausted. It's like one of those like you've got a fever and you're like trying to push through. You're like, I can do this, and then you're like, no, a shower has wiped me out.
That kind of reminds me of the last
Wait.
time I.
Wait,
Well,
are
actually,
we getting a tournament report for an event that you didn't play? That was over a year and a half ago?
Lauren's like, no, I played Marissa in the hotel room. I crushed her like 12 games.
Jesus Christ. Breaking news here.
No, so Marissa actually went. I was like, do you really want to go?
What a legend! Oh
Yeah.
my god, I love this girl so much.
Major points.
So she goes, and I guess it's like a pretty normal game cafe thing, and she wanted to squeeze out that EV, get the contact deets for our Tundra Wolves connection, and so I think she ended up going 0-4 drop, something like that. Like she gave it the college try.
I
but,
mean, yeah, that's great.
yeah, and unfortunately, she actually won the like grand prize raffle. But because she had dropped and left, they couldn't award it to her.
Man.
So she missed out on a beta regrowth, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Heartbreak.
Now that's
Damn.
the EV play. That's
Yeah.
where you would have swooped in like a hawk.
That's right. I'll just go ahead and claim that on her behalf. No
Yeah.
worries.
But she did contact Laurence and Francois, who are two very awesome dudes. And the next morning, I was well enough that we all drove out to the Sugar Shack together, played some pickup old school games. We did a 3-round old school cube draft. And basically, Tundra Wolves are really awesome dudes.
Awesome. The alliance is, the alliance is strengthened.
I don't usually think of Quebec as a tundra. I think of it as more like forested.
You're gonna have to talk to them, dude. I don't.
Okay.
Well, what
Yeah.
forest? What forest magic card are you gonna name it after?
The Orcish Lumberjacks. I don't know, dude. I don't know, man.
You got to come up with something catchy, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody's got to have some kind of a totem card, right?
Okay, so switching to the Romancing the
I
Stones.
seem to have some dim. I seem to have some dim axon firing in my brain about talking to them at the Eternal Weekend old school event when they were debating on their team name, and they were kind of indifferent about it. And then they're like, "Yeah, Thunder Wolves, that's fine," or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just like an alcohol reverie, but
It's probably true, right?
It's great to have your name be a common card, because then you can like buy in bulk and like pass. Every event you can like give people Tundra, like black bordered Tundra Wolves, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah. You don't want to be like the Michigan Moxon.
Right.
It is embarrassing that we are the Lords of the Pit, but nobody except probably Sanders plays decks with Lord of the Pit in it.
it's not for the faint of heart.
Well, get started on it. Start brewing.
I know that I didn't even own a beta Lord of the Pit for a long time. And I got mine for free, actually.
Sick
I don't
EV
think
play.
I own one.
Yeah,
See, you don't even have one. It's like, who the hell are you? I mean, I do have this like Golden Lord, but I don't know how I came across that one. Anyway.
It wasn't beta. Was that a beta?
I actually don't know. You can't tell under all the paint and
Under all the gold? All
the gold and the big proclamation of first place. But anyway, none of that's important. Because it's not first place. It's not my first place win that we're here to talk about.
No. How about we do a little quick recap of that not first place, that second place finish that you had, and then we'll come back we'll touch back on the Romancing the Stones thing.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely put a pin in Romancing the Stones because I want to hear more about what Lori had played. But just to get this out of the way, because I knew as soon as I lost this match, I would be like, Jesus, this is not the last I'm going to I'm going to hear about this one.
Yeah. Set the stage, man.
Okay. So we were, on the last podcast, we were talking about the Nashville Club putting on this 2-batch, just straight up EC old school tournament with the top 8. So ended up making the top 8, ended up making the finals. And we did open deck lists for the top 8. And as I was looking through all the decks, I was like, okay, there's some stuff that I see that's sort of familiar, kind of like Wonder Bready-esque deck, like a Rug deck. There's kind of like a Paul De Silva-esque, like Ernham-Geddon deck. And then there was this like rancid-looking white weenie deck that had a bunch of like ridiculous 3-ofs, like 3 Spirit Links in the main and like 3 land taxes and like random 1-ofs and like Abu Jafars and Golgothian Silexes in the sideboard. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I look at it a little bit closer. I'm like, well, actually, there's a lot of cards in this deck that are kind of a big problem for me, especially the Occasion Javelineers.
Yeah.
I'm playing this Rug deck with Scrib Sprites and Argothian Pixies. And I'm like, actually, that card, the Javelineers, is like one of the biggest beatings you can put on, because it's like it either gets paid massively or I have to use a lightning bolt on a 1/1. It just sucks. And so I'm thinking the whole time, like, honestly, I think this white weenie deck is the deck that I least want to play against in the entire top 8. But I mean, look at it. It's horrible, right? There's no way that it's going to make it all the way. Well, that white weenie deck, piloted by Brandon Burgoa, made it all the way to the finals. So I'm sitting down across from him thinking like, okay, what the hell is my plan? Like, normally it's just a no-brainer to like bring in the Serendibs against white weenie, but he's got 3 Spirit Links main deck that he's not going to cut. So it's like, I can't just board in my dibs and run them into the Spirit Links, right? I have no way of like bouncing my dib back to my hand or whatever. I'm just fucked. So we play. So game 1, I keep like a sort of slower 6-card hand with 2 ATOGs and end up drawing into the 3rd, thinking, well, okay, the ATOGs is actually a pretty good moat against this type of deck. So I'll be able to like buy my time until I can like do all the busted shit that my deck can do and cast draw 7s and bolt all your guys or whatever. Well, he draws triple swords for my triple ATOG and I die. Game 2, I'm like, okay, I've got these Ankhs, which are obviously coming out. And then I'm really waffling between the Psyblasts and the Shatters. Either way, I'm thinking that I want to cut both of those. Well, I know that he has some Ivory Towers in the sideboard, but it's like, I have 4 Ankhs.
Baby.
And the Ivory Tower is only good if he gets land tax online. Well, he only has 2 land taxes. It's like, it seems pretty darn likely that the Shatters won't line up that well for me. And if he keeps the Angels in, then I'll really want the Psyblasts.
Yeah.
So I keep the Psyblasts in, cut the Shatters, peel open my opening 7, can't keep it. Peel open my 6, can't keep it. Go down to 5. Okay, sure. It's got like a Tog, a Mox, all the colors of mana, and like, of course, the fucking Psyblast. So we end up playing this insane, like 1.5 hour game where all of the absolute nutty cards, like he must have sideboarded in like 9-10 cards. Cause I'm seeing the Silex. I'm seeing the Abu Jafar. I'm seeing like,
Abu Jafar, by the way, is a 1-mana 0/1 that kills whatever creature it blocks, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So he's just just like running it through the garden. He just like turned his white weenie deck into this like tax tower deck.
And by the way, like this match is open, and so there's like 15 dudes in there, in a whereby room, just like shit talking both players and just having a great time. And just like getting more and more frenzied the longer and longer this second game goes on.
Oh, so everyone just had us muted and we're all talking?
Yeah. Well, no. We were typing. We were typing the whole time.
You were typing.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. I'm going to say, if you're trying to play a game and there's just like incessant chatter from
No.
That would drive me crazy.
Yeah, it was so the towers ended up being so huge for him, and I'm casting like Time Twister, Regrow, Time Twister, Regrow, Time Twister, Regrow, Time Twister, and I can't hit enough vices to get out from under the 2 towers that he eventually gets in play. And I was like, there's no way in a million years that I thought that his Ivory Towers would be significant in the slightest. And he also had Cop Red in play, which I also thought it's impossible that Cop Red is even remotely good against me because I want to bolt your creatures anyway.
Yeah.
And yet here I am sitting across from him. He's gaining like 12 life off the towers every single time after I Twister. And he fucking takes it. And I'm like, holy shit, that was so awesome. Well, first off, I'll say that like the game ended resoundingly when he played Golgothian Silex and destroyed like 2 Pixies, 2 Factories, and an ATOG. Just like
That's
the massive...
And his Ivory Towers.
And his Ivory Towers. But
he
was
didn't even
at like...
need the Ivory Towers at that point.
Yeah, he was at like 40 plus and had like 3-4
so
creatures to play after.
Carter was doing his impression of Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2 when she's grabbing on the chain link fence with the H-bomb going off and she's screaming as her skin is melted and flies apart.
Oh yeah. It ended with like an absolute nuclear bomb being dropped on my board state. Like just the most resounding way to win a match possibly. And after the dust cleared and I lost, I was just thinking like, man, it's so cool how like offbeat choices really are significant, because I had played against Serendib all the way up there, and I knew exactly how to beat Serendib, you know? But I didn't really know, like, against this kind of offbeat thing, I made that big mistake in sideboarding where he obviously took the angels out, put all these other cards in, and that little decision, I only sideboarded in like 4 cards, and that little decision cost me the whole thing because it was such a long, protracted game. And it was fucking awesome, like a total learning moment. And honestly, he was the fucking good guy, so it made for a better story that he won anyway. So it was kind of win-win.
What was his win con then?
Oh, he still had, you know, the Javelineers, the Orders, the Lions.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll say this. So Carter was at 6 for like 30 turns. So for 30 turns, Carter was on the offensive, trying to like push through all of this Ivory Tower life gain. And Brandon was not able to push through any damage. So it was like this really long standstill where all Brandon had to do was 6 damage. And after the Silex resolved, he just like crushed Carter's board and was able to get a few creatures through. That's all that he needed.
It's insane.
Yeah, I died in like a turn after the Silex. He just like Silexed, put 6 power into play, and it's like, all right, go. And I drew and died. Yeah, it was a super, super fun game.
Yes, sideboarding remains the most elusive part of the game of Magic to me. Like I have lost so many games because I've mis-sideboarded, and I've won so many games because I've mis-sideboarded. Like, you know, just sort of like have that like genius like moment where you sideboard completely wrong, but then your opponent's like double next leveling you, but then your stupid level 1 sideboard actually counters their, you know, because like who would think to sideboard out angels against like a did deck? It's like, no, that's like a great answer, but he did that.
I don't necessarily know that he didn't have angels, but we saw, you know, because he didn't exactly have the opportunity to tap out for angel pretty much the entire match.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show that, you know, my logic in keeping the side blast in was not so great, because, you know, he wasn't really playing that much fast mana. It was just pretty much a classic white
especially
mini
if you're
deck.
getting your teeth kicked in by every tower. Shatter would have been pretty nice.
Yeah, you didn't have like Falling Star or Earthquake in your list? I guess you wouldn't have Earthquake with the Pixies.
Yeah, and I don't own Falling Star. Ooh. And honestly, that card, I'm not 100% if it would have made a huge difference. A card that would have made a huge difference would be like another threat like Urnum. You know, if I could board in even more like powerful 3-4 mana plays to kind of go over the top of him, which is something that I will definitely consider for the deck, because the Spirit Link technology is definitely out there now. People have realized how good that card is against Serendib Ifrit. And so I don't know. I think there's got to be some sort of plan that takes Spirit Link into consideration, but you know, you can also play around it. Like he ended up Spirit Linking 2 Scrib Sprites.
Oh, yuck.
So I felt like I was in a decent position, but it really was not realizing how the game would actually play out, which is really long and protracted, you know?
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of stuff that trade with my creatures. I've got a bunch of stuff that trades with his creatures. And so it's going to come down to these, like, who can set up a more powerful engine or go over the top. And that's what Tax Tower did in the match for him. So my general Magic philosophy is keep things really streamlined, play a bunch of 4-ofs, have the deck do the same thing every game as much as you can. And then if you draw the Ancestral or whatever, you're just like, oh, this is just a freebie. But, he had the 3 land taxes and the 2 ivory towers, and given the texture of the game against my specific deck, like it got there, and it was bound to get there, given the nature of the matchup. Like he in the average game would have enough time to set that up probably. So I needed to be able to fight it with the shatters.
So back to the combat element, and I found this playing White Weenie at that Lord's Labor Day thingy, but Maze was a really badass card, bringing in I brought in 3 mazes out of the side, and that enabled me to kind of set. Lorraine, we had a match, right? Remember that, where I had the double mazes and you had like a couple Serendibs. Was that you or was that somebody else?
That could have been me. You won that game. You won that match, so I think that's right.
Was that I had double maze and you had double dibs and just took like 12 or 14 damage or whatever off your double dibs?
Yeah, I think I got a strip mine eventually, but you had another maze on top of that.
Yeah, it's like that second maze is so brutal once you get it in play. You can really manipulate the combat to be most favorable.
Yeah, I think conventional wisdom says that, the equity of maze goes down if there are 4 strips, which is probably true to an extent, but it doesn't preclude maze from being used in sideboards still.
Sure.
Yeah. And like usually that first strip hits on, in a 4-strip game, usually it's like that first land or that first dual land is going to get stripped, and you're not playing your maze on turn 2. 1 or 2,
It's the same principle as like running a bunch of artifacts and a bunch of enchantments and just really stressing their disenchants. So they can disenchant whatever they want, but eventually you're going to end up with some permanents that they can't deal with.
Correct.
Right. Because you're like, they're probably also, right, they're trying to strip you off a color, they're trying to strip you off Mishra's Factory, and they're trying to strip you off Maze. Like something's going to stick around.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty heroic tale, and big ups to Brandon Burgoa is his name, right? Brandon? I think of it as Josh's brother because I haven't met him in person, but I know Josh.
Burgoa,
I know Josh quite well. He's a major signature nerd, and he and I nerd out deeply on the subject.
Yeah, it was an awesome finals. Honestly, couldn't have asked for better. It was a fucking blast. That was not my day to win. So, that's all good. It was fun.
So let's pick up that pin that we put in the Romancing the Stone. What is that? What it was called?
Oh yeah,
Romancing the Stones.
Romancing the Stones middle school tournament. And Lauren, could you just briefly, for my own edification, set up like who they are and where they're based out of and all that?
Yeah, so they're based out of Austin, Texas. As Carter said, I think they started off as kind of a vintage club, but they recently wanted to expand into middle school. And so this one, I think they've done 1 or 2 before this one, but they basically wanted to open it up to other clubs, other people. I think there was someone, I think Robert, I'm sorry. I think Robert is in the Lords of the Pit Discord, or he was before we ejected everyone.
It's members only. It's a private party.
Yeah, before Robert E. Agra led a vicious charge.
Well, right. It's like, Robert E. Drafts a bunch of conscripts to fight in the pits and the trenches. And then he just releases them from their service without any benefits, without any, veterans protection or whatever. It's pretty brutal.
So how many players were in the middle school event?
There were 30 players.
Okay.
So it was a good sized group.
Yeah.
It was 5 rounds and then cut to top 8. And pretty chill tournament structure. You just did like a $5 donation to a Texas food bank. And then there's some game shop in Texas that put up $100 store credit for the top 4. So you're playing for that, but you're not trying to razzle dazzle people too much. Just have a good time, play a fun deck, and see how you ended up.
And
You
this
on,
was
Goblins.
What's that?
Were you on Goblins?
I was on the Bant Survival Madness featuring a Chroma.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's like an interesting deck. Like it's no one else has really done it in middle school. Like it's a little bit different than what's been done. So I thought it'd be a fun tournament to showcase that deck.
I've just started picking up the pieces for. I usually do like one middle school deck a year. So I've got this year's plan, and it will absolutely involve survival of the fittest.
I think I know what you're playing because you were talking about the cards you needed. I was like, there's literally only one deck that uses all these cards. So
You're like, Great Whale? What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we're gonna try to turn a Volrath shapeshifter into all sorts of things. It just seems like Full English Breakfast seems like the most fun and also challenging deck.
yeah, that deck is super fun. And actually, that's I just picked up some dreadnoughts because
that's tasty.
I had some traded in this ultra rare foil holographic Force of Will that I got.
Charizard? Oh, Force of Will.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was you ripped that from a pack, right?
Yeah, from one of those VIP packs.
The new one, yeah.
Got super lucky, so traded it for sword credit, got some dreadnoughts, and I'm building something kind of similar, Carter. So I would like to bounce some ideas off you.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, Jaco refused to. I grabbed a few cards off of him, and he refused to give me a Cephalid Ink Shrouder because he was like, "No, the card is just absolutely unacceptable. Like
That card sucks. Don't use it. Yeah.
You don't want to play it. Trust me."
So the Volrath just sees the dreadnought on top of your graveyard and then turns into it without triggering the ETB.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So long as you don't play it, so long as when you play the Volrath shapeshifter, the dreadnought isn't on top of the library. That's all that needs to happen, and then you can dump a dreadnought immediately, and then it's just a 12/12.
Okay, so Volrath has to enter the board first, and then you put the dreadnought in the bin, and then dreadnought sees him and turns into a 12/12 trampler.
Or like you can play something with a spicy ETB, and then when the shapeshifter comes in, it will trigger that. So like the best one that I've seen is Hypnox. It makes them discard their whole hand.
And then once it's not Hypnox, they'll never get their hand back.
Right.
But when I'm constructing this deck, I'm looking at this deck and I'm just thinking like, God, like how many of these like nonsense cards can you actually play? You know, like how many of these hands are full of like Achromas and Iridescent Angels and Hypnoxes and Morphlings. Man. It's like,
you never want to see that guy.
You just don't. Yeah, you don't. You just want to pull them out of your deck. But here's the thing. If you put cards in your deck, you will draw them. Yeah. And sometimes you will not have survival. So, I was talking to Jaco about this, and he did make a salient point about, Morphling is good because it's a bomb by itself. And can just win the game on its own, and so I think it's good to put a decent amount of value on those types of creatures as opposed to like, I think I would put Hypnox in the sideboard and board it when I know that I want to rip my opponent's hand away if I was playing against like a Force of Will based control deck or something. But I don't know if I necessarily want to start the Hypnox and, in case I run into Sly or Goblins or any other, because even ripping out like, 2-3 cards from their hand is, I don't know. It's not worth the disaster of actually drawing the thing when you need a real card.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's where I'm at on this list that I'm working on right now, which I'm calling Chicago Brunch, because it's like different enough from Full English Breakfast that I feel like it's a unique deck, but it's still pretty similar. But yeah, that's the reason why I like this Bant Madness Survival is like if they pop your survival, or if you just happen to never draw it, you've still got game with Wild Mongrel and Basking Root Walla and Arrogant Worm. So you can play a fair game, you can play an unfair game. So over the course of the tournament, I went 4-1, mulled to 4 at one point against the Devourer combo deck, because I was like, I have to have interaction, interaction. Mulled to 4, got the interaction, forced a will to Tinker, and then he just drew dead, and I beat him with like a Wild Mongrel and a Basking Root Walla.
Oh my god, that's insane.
It was really sad. Like some of my favorite games are the ones where somebody wins on 4, because it's like, at the time it just seems wrong, like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I feel so sorry for you. Oh, this is so terrible. And then they're able to actually put together a winning strategy.
Oh yeah, it's like after a few rounds, or after a few turns of the game, I mean, like, you forget. I mulled to 5 in this game too, and it was like an hour and a half game. After enough time, it's like, yeah, you just forget that the other person mulled to 5 and has like a 30% chance of winning anyway.
Yeah,
you just
the 2 cards matter less and less as the game progresses.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, we should definitely collaborate. I'll reach out to you once I get all the pieces. The mana is another thing that I'm kind of concerned about, because when you're like essentially like a blue-green based deck, you don't have fetch lands.
Play white, baby. That's the key. You play Bant, so you get blue, white, green fetch lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Actually, it's probably going to be about, so you get blue, white, and white, green.
And your business cards in there too.
I guess because I was thinking black, but if I play black,
you're still not getting black, green.
Then I can't get black, green. I just get blue, black.
Yeah, black's the common color for full English breakfast. You get things like Duress, Cabal Therapy, Mesmeric Fiend.
I like the Fiend a lot.
Psychotog played in that?
Psychotog, one of Psychotog is really good, because like, especially with the way that the shapeshifter works, you can put Psychotog on top, and then you can like remove cards from your graveyard to get the perfect setup that you want. Like, you can even remove the Psychotog that's on top that's making the shapeshifter a Psychotog, to like have it be something else beneath it.
Yeah, it lets you sculpt a little bit, right?
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of the times with that deck, the creature that you put on top is like a resource that you only get once. So if you put like a Chroma on top, but then they lightning bolt your Birds of Paradise, then it doesn't matter if the Chroma has protection from everything, right? It's like, no, it's just a bird. But Psychotog kind of gives you outs to actually getting the Acroma back again.
Right. And Psychotog is like Morphling in that it's just a good card. It's just a good value card to have.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of pound for pound a powerful Magic card, which is like another reason why I don't love the Acroma too. I just think I don't think you want to win in the combat step with that deck necessarily. A Phage, right? Phage is just another like massive fucking clunker, that you just never want to draw except when you're winning. So there must be a better way.
Well, Bant, okay, so the last thing I'm going to say about this, so Bant, you get Meddling Mage to replace the Mesmeric Fiends, and you get Loyal Retainers to make Acroma live, even if it's not on top of your library, or on top of your graveyard.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I guess it's time to sell some old school cards to get Meddling Mages.
Oh, they're cheap, dude. They're cheap.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
They were reprinted in Double Masters, and like, so not to go into too much about Double Masters, but basically, there's like these special cards, like there's the rares, and then there's these special cards you can get. And Meddling Mage was the absolute like worst card that you could get for your special card. So you can get full art Meddling Mages right now for like $5 of the new. If you're into that stuff, you can get foil ones for probably like 10. But then that's decreased the value of all other Meddling Mages. So you can pick up a playset for like $20, I think.
Oh, that's really delightful news, because that's a really, really fun Magic card. Any Magic card that involves guessing what is in your opponent's hand, to me, is just like the pinnacle of design.
Cabal Therapy, one of my all-time favorites.
100%. Because that just seems like a true display of skill.
Well,
You know?
It makes you feel so smart.
It makes you feel so smart. And then sometimes you just get lucky and you're like, I'm a fucking genius. That's like the longest running bit in middle school history, you know? Oh, Cabal Therapy perfectly.
Yeah.
Name the name of their deck. Oh, geez, I'm so good.
So speaking of pound for pound power here, I'm going to switch here down the itinerary list to just a random piece of news that I thought was pretty awesome that I would share, which was that, and this does tie in with middle school, but that Butson recently unearthed evidence that Torque and Rec live.
No.
I don't know if you saw that, Tyler,
No
but
way.
he went up and was jamming middle school with those two guys. I don't know when it was, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. This
Was it like
summer.
the mythical lost brothers? They like disappeared off into the woods during
Yeah.
some, side quest, never to be heard of again.
Yeah.
And they're like alive. That's incredible.
Yeah. No, they're alive and still playing cards, but not playing old school. They are playing middle school, however. I think they were playing. I don't know how they got into that. I don't know why they got out of old school, why they chose middle school or whatever, but I'm thankful that Butson found evidence that they're
No
still
one ever
still at
quits
it.
magic.
No,
Yeah,
not for long.
Take a break.
You take a
Yeah.
break. Yeah.
I mean, these are two legendary characters from the beginning of the Lords of the Pit. I mean, we would essentially like leave Chicago to go to Wisconsin to meet up with pretty much just these guys.
And Maldo.
And Baldo, of course. Well, and of course all the pals that we made in Wisconsin. But that's just to say that, these guys were, the dudes who would always be there whenever we left the state.
Right. Well, and then conversely, like they were always the ones that would make the hike down. So
Yeah.
when I first started hanging out with everyone, it's like, whoa, you like drove all the way down from where to do this?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were kind of the first at the beginning. So it just goes to show you can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah. So the next level of the PSYOP will then be to somehow get them long range scanning, but hopefully one day we'll get them back here in the city.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of time, and that's what Butson does. Butson brings people together. He went out there, he's planting the seed. Yeah, those fuckers thought they could run. I don't know.
Oh no. We'll reel them in. The last time I saw those guys was at the second Madison meetup. Madison at Durasketter. They were there. Remember when we did it and it was like 55 people and it was kind of chaotic? They were at that one, but they left early because Rec got, well, you know what? We don't have to, like, they're not, I'm not going to bury them here on the pod. So we'll just,
I mean, you could say that he got wrecked.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, they had to bounce early and and I just haven't seen them since. I think they ended up, that's kind of during that time when there was super velocity in the pricing and perhaps they just sold out.
Yes, you're 100% right. It like coincided with it was like Vegas that year, right? When the prices of everything just seemed to double or triple. All anybody could talk about were these buyouts and the future of the format. And oh my God, we can't get new people to join because now it's just become so prohibitively expensive to play old school. And then we saw some of our friends say, yeah, actually we're going to sell out. And it's like, oh shit, it is so real. Like these buyouts are affecting all of us so viscerally. It was like we just lost 2 friends on account of them.
Yeah. So big ups to Butson.
Big ups to him indeed. So next on the Lord's docket, our next tournament online, of course, is going to and we kind of hinted about this at the last episode, but it's going to be, this is the season, baby. This is the Ice Age. So we've finally locked in what we want to do, which is 2 batches, 4 rounds, old school 95 for 1, and I was actually brewing my deck today. Old school 95 singleton for the other, just to really throw as many wrenches in as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, just in keeping with like the other Q cups we did, proxies are legal. So like if people don't want to go out and buy those 8-cent Ice Age cards, they can always just print them at home.
Oh man, I put in an order today actually for the single. I don't know if I'm going to play the singleton deck, but it's like an update to my old school singleton deck.
Yeah.
So I found a buyer with like the 5 8-cent cards that I needed, and I'm looking at my card on TCG Player, like 40 cents. Shipping is 80 cents.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to throw in like a pity merchant scroll just to have this, just so this guy doesn't. Yeah.
He's
right.
like, this fucking guy.
Oh, yeah.
I actually found that I needed one mountain goat.
Mountain goat. Wow.
Well,
that's a
Like
card.
one mountain walk or something.
Yep, that's exactly what that is. I was making my deck, and I'm like, I think it's correct to play mountain goat here. So.
Oh, baby. So yeah. Anyways, we'll do round one batch of just standard old school 95, and then a one batch of singleton. We're going to ban Mana Crypt, which I think is correct, given that Soul Ring is also banned, and all of the Moxen, for example. And that's it. Let it rip.
Yeah, makes sense. Mana Crypt is just a goofball card.
We'll do a top 4, and our charity is going to be the My Block, My Hood, My City Chicago chapter. I don't know. Do they have those in other cities or not? But I don't know.
That's a Chicago charity
Only
specifically.
thing. Yeah.
It's My Block, My Hood, My City. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll do like 2 weeks or whatever, 20 days out of October. Should be fun. I'll admit that I will miss what we did last fall, which were the 3 meetups where we did the toy drive and we amassed that giant.
Yes, that was so sick. And then the picture at the end with everything that had been gathered, which was a sizable amount of loot.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a fun project. Maybe we'll try to do some kind of a miniaturized version of that this year. I just don't know. We'll see. We'll have to put the brain trust to it and figure something out.
Yeah, 100%.
Crypto to the kids. Bitcoin.
Send a Bitcoin.
Oh, that's so sweet.
We can send Amazon gift cards.
There we go.
Yeah, we can all pool our resources and buy them a share of Amazon. I mean, come on, everyone's going to be around for the holidays. Who the hell is going home? So we're going to be able to do something.
Yeah. Well, speaking of going home, the last item that I had listed here was Tyler Edders chimes in live at the Inferno.
Yeah.
So
it's
give us a scoop, man.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Moss, Dr. Eraser, Mr. Meatball, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
Every morning, the light has been an eerie, warm pink glow. And I realize that it's not morning. It's actually the middle of the afternoon. It's like a perpetual sunrise of dawn because the light as it filters through the sun is just not right. And all of my Midwestern rooted instincts are going off screaming tornado, tornado, tornado.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that light that color means when it isn't dawn. So today I took a walk because the AQI, the air quality index, was only 140. And I'm like, that's not too bad. Took a walk for 20 minutes, came home and had the worst headache and I reeked of smoke. And so I took a shower and took like ibuprofen.
Oh, wow.
Like it's not even bad here. And I looked at the map, up in Oregon and Washington and stuff, it's like AQI is like 300, 400. So it's real. And like my pals in Chicago were telling me that like the smoke just hit you all today. And like that haze you're seeing, that's like from the West Coast.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some haze yesterday. It started. And then today.
It's wild. It's just like, and the smell, it's like, it's not a pleasant smell. It's kind of like that burning plastic smell almost, but, yeah, it's taking the garbage out with my mask on to protect against the pandemic in the middle of a heat wave because it's 110 degrees and then the sun's pink. It's like, oh, triple apocalypse. This is great. This is awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah, my roommate's brother is gonna, I think, come in and stay with us. I'm just gonna pretty much buy a futon and clear out the table that's in the middle of a sitting room, and yeah, it's like of course you can stay with us, man. No worries.
Yeah, our buddy Cam out in Oregon, he told me that I don't know if he still has it, but they had like bags packed, ready to go at a moment's notice because they were on the edge of the evac zone. And I'm like, all right, do you have my workshops packed with you?
See, this is the bleeding heart of Mama.
Do we have a plan for my workshops, dude? Because of course it would come to pass that 2020 would find a way to kill my workshops that I left with him for safekeeping.
Yeah, you're like,
so I go out on reconnaissance missions whenever there's a fire kind of nearby, and I just like drive, because I mean, like, they're just all over the place. Like, there's someone that like caused a fire the other day because he had a trailer that like came unhitched and it like set a whole mountain on fire or something. So like 2 weeks ago, I just took a 20-minute ride up because the map on the website had a gigantic red polygon that was like 15 minutes away. I'm like, this seems important. Went there. Apparently a giant red polygon on the map does not mean it's on fire, which is good. But I saw the huge, fixed wing plane flying over with water in it and all that smoke. It's, it's like right there. You look out and it's right over the mountains. So it's here, and this is normal now.
My heart breaks because, like, you got out of Chicago to sort of escape. It's just so cruel. And yeah, obviously our heart goes out to our brothers and sisters, our sister clubs, Beasts of the Bay and the SoCal Deep Spawners, the Trolls, and everyone along the coast. I mean, we're all, we are all clubs. We're all, together in this. So, I mean, it just, I don't know. I hardly even know what to say.
When, Tyler, like, do you have like any plans to come back to the Midwest anytime soon? Or are you basically just hunkered down for indefinite time?
Yeah, I don't think there's any,
You'd have to drive, right?
I have a hard time maintaining hope anymore for things and like planning anything further.
Yeah,
than,
man.
Like a week out feels kind of futile. So I'm pretty much resigned to just being here indefinitely, because like we've totally fucked our leadership's completely fucked the pandemic over. Like other countries are out of it, and I don't think it's going to be over here in the States until mid 2021 at the earliest.
Yeah, I think at the
so,
soonest.
That alone,
Yeah, I'm pretty bearish on that too. Like, there's nothing happened this summer that led me to believe that next summer will be any different than this summer. And that's kind of a pessimistic viewpoint. But
that's a shame, because I have a side bet going with Danny. I definitely took the under. He took the over.
Yeah.
But it's just a question of the vaccine, I think, is like we're not going to fix the problem. Like, as a society, we're not going to fix the problem probably, but if a vaccine can get widely distributed, then maybe.
Yeah, I mean, A, it has to be developed, B, it has to be manufactured, C, it has to be distributed, and D, enough people have to have it. So like none of that's going to happen soon.
D is the worst one, because there's enough people that don't believe in science right now that think,
Well, even under the more optimistic scenarios, it's just going to take a long time to do all those things. Like, it's going to take forever to manufacture literally hundreds of millions of doses of this.
Yep. So I'm here for the long haul. So any of y'all want to come out? We got a place to crash.
Yeah, man.
Quarantine for 2 weeks because I don't want to get the Rona.
Pre-quarantine.
Dat Rona.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we send everybody off, the last order of business in the chat is about tunage. It's about rocking out.
Yeah.
So there's Moss, have you been collecting records? Have you still been purchasing the vinyl? Because my roommate with the record player moved out, and I had all these vinyl plans, but I sort of put them on hold because I need to reallocate those resources to actually getting myself
Yeah,
turntable speakers.
it's been kind of a crapshoot buying LPs online, and that is about every third one I get comes damaged, so I just have to return it, and that's just because Chicago, our illustrious Chicago USPS, is like skeet shooting with my packaging or whatever. But it'll come like the LP package will just have a big crease, and I'm like, well, and like I pulled one out and it was like the packaging was all jacked up, and I'm just like, dude, I'm not even gonna. It was sealed, shrink wrapped. The LP was. I'm like, dude, I just sent the guy a picture. I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? I'm not even gonna open it. He's like, he just gave me a refund. But so yeah, no, I have been buying some LPs. Yes, still spinning that wax, dude. It's just like I'm really into Siggy's on Magic cards. On the wax side, I also like the little customization. I'm really big into colored wax these days. So like translucent. I'm not big into the picture discs. I don't really care for those, but I like just multicolor or translucent or just swirly design or whatever, stuff like that.
Okay, well, let's go out from the bottom to the top, just generally what you've been listening to. So in my screen, that's Lorien. What you've been spinning.
Ooh, recently. So the first thing that comes to mind is Boston's first album.
Oh, what a legend!
Which, like, I'll say, Boston isn't my favorite band by any means, but like when I realized how many fucking hits they had, or
Dude.
he had, it was one dude
Tom Schultz
working in a fucking garage, just like this mad scientist indie dude, made a whole fucking album with like almost every song as a hit. Right, even had a song about being a rock star before he was a rock star. Just like knew that shit was in the cards.
Yeah,
I picked that up for a couple bucks on Discogs. The sleeve is like water damaged. It's just like barely held together. The disc itself is the record itself is in perfect condition. I've been spinning that.
that's a monster pick, man. More than a feeling.
Yeah. What a great pick. That's like it's like when you listen to the Joshua Tree, it's like, think what you may about U2. That album is literally just banger after banger after banger after banger. And
side A of that side A is like all greatest hits for that one. And then like side 2 is excellent as well.
Yeah, it's just absurd. Okay, Edders, give us a little taste.
All right, so I've been working really hard to break out of the algorithm bubbles that I've found myself trapped inside. And it's I listen to a lot. I stream a lot. I stream like all day, and I try to adventure as much as I can. And like I read this horrible, mortifying statistic that said something like, your musical tastes are pretty much solidified by the time you're 20, and you never like listen to anything else after that.
So depressing.
I don't believe that.
So like I've like actively tried to like grow and branch out, and I've actively tried to get out of like America and like Western music and stuff like that. So I found this band like 2 weeks ago. Check this out. Okay, darkwave goth from Turkey. So it's called the band is called She Passed Away, and it's a duo, and they're just totally gothed out. They've got like the makeup and like dressed all in black, and it's like synthwave, and it's just like these driving, incredible, melodic, gloomy, but like uplifting, but like danceable songs. And then like just when you think it can't get better, the vocals come in, and it's just like this guy like mumbling in like monotone Turkish, but it's like the grooviest thing ever. I just can't stop listening to it. It's called She Passed Away, and my favorite song, it's Kasvelti Kutlama, and they have songs called like Ra, Assimilation, Rituel. It's been so delightful. So I've successfully like escaped like the English bubble, and now I'm getting all these other weird, recommendations.
Are they singing in Turkish or Farsi? Excellent.
Yeah,
That's even better.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're into.
I haven't looked up the lyrics, but you know exactly what he's singing about.
Yeah.
100%. The themes are forever.
Yeah, it's universal, dude.
What about you, Moss?
I've been going through a big Phil Collins phase.
Oh, my man! Dude, I've got a Brand X album just right there on my display shelf.
No, I've been spinning Face Value and No Jacket Required.
So good.
Yeah, any record with a huge close up of Phil Collins' face on the jacket. Excellent pick.
Have you seen how the re-releases are also his old ass face?
Yes, that's excellent. Yeah. I was also spinning. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Sage, my wife, has been on a huge Phil Collins kick lately too, but she's also been on a Peter Gabriel kick. I've intentionally been pissing her off by switching their names whenever she's listening to it. I'm like, oh, Phil Collins, I love this. She's like, this is Peter Gabriel. I was like, no, it's not. So
I could talk for hours about Peter Gabriel's solo albums. I think they're so brilliant. But Moss.
So I've been spinning that. I've been spinning. I picked up a used copy of Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, which is an excellent record. And I ended up trading that to Brandon Sanders for those Sarah Angels, those goth slasher girl Sarah Angels.
Which is awesome. Truly next level when you're trading different types of media for magic cards. That's when
altered magic cards. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then the last thing I've been listening to obsessively, like once or twice every day, is it's called Zelda and Chill. It is a synthy kind of interpretation of music from the Legend of Zelda franchise. Very bite-sized tracks, like usually like 2, 3, 4 minutes. Very cool. It's like the kind of thing you could put on and then work on a document or work on emails. Just jam it out, for an hour or so. Yep, exactly. Yep. And what about you there, big dog?
So the most recent record I picked up is the new Phoebe Bridgers album, which is amazing. She's like, she's like the female Bob Dylan, just an insane songwriter, like one of the biggest talents of today, I think. But Mullen's girlfriend, Alex, also got me into some gothy shit, dude. It's this band called Boy Harsher.
Boy Harsher?
Boy Harsher. Another duo, also just kind of like synthy, dark wave, like gothy shit. I'm so fucking into it. It's all I've been listening to.
I'm stoked to hear that.
This entire week. Yeah, Boy Space Harsher. So fucking good.
Yeah, this is a good segment. We should probably revisit this in the future.
We should, dude. Maybe we should have more segments. But yeah, this is a total banger. It makes me excited.
Zelda and Chill.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the physical media. Holy shit.
Well, they didn't. The LP was sold out. Excuse me. The LP was sold out on their Bandcamp page, and it was like, somebody bought it all on spec, and it was like super high priced. So I just got a CD from them. But yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, Moss has not stopped buying CDs, in case anyone was curious about that.
I'm the dude. I'm the last one.
Let's just say, if you can sell it to Moss, he'll probably buy it.
Yeah, no, I don't get that many anymore. I've actually divested myself of most of my CDs, but I probably
look behind you and can count like 400 in your
shelf. Yeah, there's like 800 behind me. But
there are those moments though. It's like you're going on the road trip, and whoever you're going with has a total beater car, and they go, yeah, man, like, sorry, my aux cord is all fucked up. And you go, it's all good, dude. I have a case of CDs.
Booklet, yep.
Yeah. Oh, you got the booklet.
We've done that on some of our trips and pile into my wagon.
We 100% have. I mean, it's great. Yeah. We get to play the music we want, make Mullen miserable. It's like, it's worth the price of admission just for that. Okay, cool. That about wraps it up, right?
What is this, Carter, you put a thing here. What's in Tyler's music project?
Oh,
I'll bite on this. What is this?
oh. Well, Tyler, you can explain as much about this as you want. I finally got around to watching the stream of it.
Now I know what it is. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So Adders, let the people know as much as they need today.
Okay, I know.
All right. So super high level overview. My 2020 sanity project measures have been going deep into programming music tools for other people to use and to make music with. So I made this program called Arcologies, which lets you make two-dimensional interactive soundscapes. So it uses hardware, uses one of these things. So this is a monome grid. It's just like, it's just a dumb piece of metal with buttons on it that light up. But what's cool about it is you can program it to do anything you want. So I've kind of made this like dwarf fortress tower defense music sequencer thing where you can put notes and samples and sequences and program all these rhythms in it. So it's been really fun. I just released it a few weeks ago. And a bunch of people have downloaded it and been making music with it, and it's been just really gratifying because I've been doing all these streaming about it and making music with it, and people are sharing the music they're making with it, and it's just been a really positive experience. So this weekend I'm giving a talk for Baby Castles, which is a New York like collective. I'm talking about like the artistic process behind it. So I've just been like streaming and making all this content about it, and it's been a really good experience for me.
Yeah, I read that blog. Somebody did like a blog post review of the program, and it was very favorable review. It was press well earned, man. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. That was on CDM. I didn't even know that was coming out. My friend just texted me. He's like, "Dude, CDM, what?" I was like, "What?" He sent me a link, and I just like called him and screamed and hung up because it was like kind of a, I don't know. It's just like I didn't expect that to happen. I made this for me, and like other people just like picked up on it, and it's been really cool.
You did a watercolor right? A watercolor print thing for that too?
I've got watercolors that go with each of like the DLCs. So like there's the main release. Like I mean, it's like completely influenced by Magic. Like the whole program is like modular. So there's all these different structures that like interact with each other differently. And then I've got like each different DLC, quote unquote, has a different watercolor and a name that goes with it. So there's the original release, which had a painting. Then there was Eternal September, which was like the second, it's kind of like the Arabian Nights of the thing. And then there's Crypts, which is like a separate sample pack. So all this junk that I've learned about Magic kind of like got lodged in my artist brain, and it's like manifested as like this modular music system.
Yeah, so cool. Once again, Arcologies. Check it out. The shit's a big fucking deal. Okay, cool, sweet. Well, I got to wake up at 5 tomorrow, so
yeah, let's put a fork in it, man.
Let's stick one in there, guys. It's been a fucking pleasure chatting with you. Wish it could be around mine or Moss's table, but we make do for now. Happen.
We will believe.
2022, baby.
2069.
Your warm bodies again.
Yeah. All right, boys. Have a good night. I'm gonna hit the stop button. Be safe. Be well.
All right. Peace.